As a journalist, anytime you reach out for comment about something and the company or
Okay, let's see. Any luck?
Better now, I hope. Can you finally hear me
Yeah,
in
you're good. You're
semi-decent
good.
quality?
Do you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Oh, great. Yeah, nice one. Sorry about that. I don't even want to say what stupid thing I was doing. But thanks for having me on, man. Appreciate it.
That's fine. What can I do for you?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, like, I guess like when we talked, like, I guess a lot's changed with regards to like grooming gangs and stuff since then, like with the drop of the Casey report. I don't know, has your opinion changed at all, or has anything changed really
Not
in your
really.
mind?
Don't think so. Do you want to,
Yeah,
do you want me to rehash my opinion just to make sure we're on the same page? Or do you want to tell me what my
yeah,
opinion is?
100%. Yeah, 100%. Go ahead.
My understanding is that there was, I think since 2011, there's been like a tiny amount of research that has suggested that this particular subset of a crime is overrepresented by Pakistani Muslim communities. Generally, they would say that this data is very limited because of bad police records and the fact that ethnicity is actually not even that often logged for these crimes in general, let alone the subset, lack of working definitions for most of the last 2 decades. So it seems to be that there might be a slight overrepresentation in Pakistani communities for a very particular subset of the crime, but overall, still seems to be the case that if you are a victim of sexual abuse as a child in the UK, it's most likely going to be from someone that you know. It seems that overall, and data that we have on overall sexual abuse of children, seems to be that every ethnicity is about equally represented. And I don't think any new information contradicts that.
Yeah, like I guess like your opinion from what you've stated there is not that like it's not true that it's definitely it's not that there isn't an overrepresentation amongst Pakistani men, it's that maybe we don't have enough data. Would that be fair?
In group sexual abuse, yeah, there might be an
Yeah.
overrepresentation, yeah, but I don't think any data so far has given us like a strong indicator of that.
Fair, okay, then your position's not as stark then as I thought it would be, but yeah, like I guess the case report did said like on the data that they did find that there was an overrepresentation. Yeah, like they said it wasn't logged in all cases, but the odd is that they did find an overrepresentation.
Well, do you want to elaborate on that, or will I do that for you?
Go ahead if you want to.
Because so yeah, the Casey report. I'm assuming you agree that the Casey report also said that that nothing they've done in that particular investigation was good enough to support statements about ethnicity at the national level. The exact sentence is not good enough to support any statements about the ethnicity of group-based child sexual exploitation offenders at the national level. I think they looked at 3 areas, if I'm correct: Greater Manchester, West Yorkshire, and South Yorkshire, where they did find an overrepresentation of Pakistani men in group-based offences. They still said that this is despite ethnic data not even being collected for half of suspects, like 37%. And that's not, so yeah, that's not them saying they're finding an overrepresentation like nationally. They looked at 3
Yeah,
areas
100%. Yeah, just in the specific
data.
area that they did look at. Yeah.
But that doesn't, but
Yeah.
you understand that there's a reason you wouldn't want to apply that to a national level with that data, right?
Yeah, and that's the kind of the same conclusion that the Home Office report came to as well. They kind of had the same line. Like even though they did find an overrepresentation in all the studies that they did do, it was kind of like, no,
well,
but we can't make a broader claim.
Do you think it's unfair? Do you think it's just kind of like weaseling for them to not apply a national average to that, or a national conclusion?
I think they are. Yeah, I think they are being kind of weaselly, and I think that's been kind of, even the case report did stress that over again. Like people are afraid to kind of make those claims, and there's all this, oh, we have to be sensitive, and we don't want to offend anybody, and that you see that time and time again, and all this stuff. Like people are afraid to make any sort of claims. Like,
do you think we can give you 2 claims there? Do you think we can give you a better explanation for why you wouldn't want to apply this to a national level with this data?
yeah, of course, because like it is a sensitive topic, and like there is some
no,
truth
it's not
to
because
it.
it's not because it's a sensitive topic. The truth is the truth. The problem is that you're taking 3 areas again where ethnic data is only recorded less than half of the time. Now, I don't know if it was Jay or maybe the one from Drew, but that's a much older one, where it would make sense that if you're just looking at places where ethnic data is recorded, if you're a police officer and you're recording data on suspects, generally speaking, if someone is the ethnicity of the majority, for example, white, you're less likely to just write anything special about their ethnicity. But if they're a migrant, then you're more likely. So you've even potentially got an overrepresentation within your sample, which is still not even 40% of suspects. Second of all, you've got 3 areas, all where high profile cases took place. And this is high profile cases of a very, very, very fringe aspect of this crime, right? There are like 100,000 CSA offenses a year in the UK. Less than 1,000 of them, so less than 1%, are group CSE. This is according to Casey. So you're taking this less than 1% subset of a crime, and then you're looking at data on 3 areas where there are high profile cases. This is like saying, oh, the trans suicide rate is doubled, it's out of control, when it's gone up from like 2 to 4 in 1 year because there's so few trans people in the country, right? Or it would be like going in America and drawing a national average on Italian crime in the 40s, and one of the regions you looked at was New York City. You understand there's an issue there, right?
Yeah, 100%. Can I just ask you, like, do you think there's any truth to the kind that it's been like there's a trend that people are afraid to kind of bring ethnicity into it? Do you think there's any truth to that kind?
I can see councils being afraid to bring that in. Police officers, I doubt it. Yeah, I think, and even with the J report, there was mixed testimony there from police. Some people said it didn't matter. Others said that they used, my guess is they used it as an excuse, but maybe some cops were afraid. I really don't think that's the reason this isn't happening.
I would disagree, of course. I think a big thing is ethnicity. I wish I had at hand, but I did even see like a priest within the community was afraid to say anything, you know, because of like the concerns it would have with the like minority ethnicity populations in the area.
Yeah, we're talking about priests, but I'm asking you about cops, right? We're talking about cops.
Yeah, I know, but it's just a broader, I think it is just part of the broader phenomenon that people are afraid to speak up. Like,
why do you think, okay, wait. Why do you think cops are more like, if this is affecting police, why do you think police are still, these are the same police who are like 8 times more likely to stop and search a black person in the street?
Is that true in the UK as well? I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, I think in London, the average was like 20 something times, but maybe it's changed since 2010, 2011, but we're talking about the time when a lot of these crimes took place. Yeah, I think it's still the case, isn't it?
Sorry, it's kind of beside the point anyway, but I think it would be insane to kind of deny that it's a topic that people are not afraid to speak up about. Like, I think ethnicity is obviously a sensitive topic. Immigration's a huge thing. And I think you would get attacked if you say, like, we've seen it just like all politicians, all people like speaking are afraid to just, you know, bring ethnicity into the law. But like,
why is that the case though? We've had 2 governments now, Labour and Conservative, and under both of these governments, these reports have been spoken about, and other investigations have been conducted. Like even with Jay, like she spoke about people who did say that they were worried about ethnicity and that did need to change. But that's
I know.
The problem is that
it's
only one of like 20 recommendations that they bring up. So it's like there's a lot more reason than people worrying about talking about ethnicity. Like, again, because all these reports will say that despite the majority of offenders being proportionally represented white in all CSA across the national scale, again, everything's under convicted. CSA is under convicted, group CSA is under convicted. It's all under convicted because it's sexual crimes. Yeah, sexual crimes in general are under convicted because people are afraid of ratting out their friends. That's another problem. People are worried in general because you don't see the crime happening. It's just like there's an inherent quality to the crime that makes it hard for people to talk about.
Yeah. Do you think it's a fair statement as well to, like, I think in all these cases as well to kind of, actually, just first of all, am I allowed to curse actually on this thing?
Course,
I don't. I do think, like, I think they're always just kind of being pussies, like, in general, like even the way they frame it as like Asian perpetrators, when we know, you know, there's certain countries that are worse offenders than others, like Japan, China aren't really, but they always lump them in as Asians. Like, I think all of this is just to kind of downplay the fact that Pakistanis, for example, are overrepresented. And I think they wouldn't frame it that way if they weren't trying to, you know, if they weren't walking on
Well,
eggshells, essentially.
how do we know that the data shows mostly Pakistanis if they're afraid to say it?
Yeah, well, like even I know you debunked that that study that took the newspaper headlines. The Quilliam was the
Hmm.
thing of it.
My guess
Yeah,
is they
well,
took newspaper headlines. Yeah.
yeah, no, they did, and I found a similar one where they actually found like a negative correlation, and with Hindu people, for example, and
Hmm.
like what if the narrative like that Ella Cockbain, the girl that you cited so often, is it's a far right conspiracy theory. Why would there be a negative correlation between Hindu headlines coming up, for example?
What do you mean there'd be a negative correlation? Like they're
There is a negative correlation between like Hindu people, Indians involved in these grooming gangs. But if it's like a far right conspiracy theory where we want to presumably target all immigrants, you think Hindus would be overrepresented as well, but they're not. They're underrepresented.
because the British far right are not like one dimensional. I mean, they are retarded, but they're not one dimensional. Like they do have specific interests. Like Tommy Robinson would constantly say, "I love Sikhs, I love Hindus, I love Jews, I love Indians. I just hate Muslims." That was basically Tommy Robinson's whole thing, and he's like one of the most popular figures in this issue. So yeah, like, it's the obsession with Islam in particular. And again, a lot of it makes sense. Like terrorist attacks in the UK, they came from Muslims. Most of these high-profile grooming cases that we see in the press, they seem to be Muslims, like in the gangs. But my question to you is that again, what recommendation do you think is being ignored here that needs to be carried out? Like, what needs to
Well,
change?
I'd be kind of like I'd be kind of anti mass immigration in general. So I think that's the biggest easy win. Just stop, mass immigration, and then you'd obviously see less of this.
Well, you would
So
see.
like
Well, you
that's
wouldn't
that's the
obviously see
broader
less of it.
narrative,
You wouldn't obviously see less of it. You might see less of a crime that makes up less than 1% of CSA offenses.
Yeah, but I think like okay, it's a small proportion, but I think this whole thing is a kind of a demonstration of how different the cultures are. It's not just like even if we just eliminated this and it's only 1%, I think it's a broader demonstration of they do have a different culture. Like honor killings, for example, are. Would you agree those are kind of disproportionately Muslims doing them?
Um, sure. Why are Arabs not overrepresented, or why do we never see high-profile Arab grooming cases? We have lots of Arabs in the UK.
Well, Greenwood, could you answer my question about honor killings? Do you think
I said yes.
honor killings are they're overrepresented? So that it does kind of highlight that they do have a different culture that doesn't gel well with ours, and then you do see these crimes as a result.
Wait, what is an honor killing? Can you just describe that for me?
Oh God, I wouldn't want to get. I'd probably want to Google the exact definition, but like there's been cases across Europe of predominantly Muslim immigrants that they come into the West, and then their children may be accustomed to the Western culture, and then they just kill them because they say they're too Westernized. I'm sure if you just Google honor killings Europe or the definition, you'll find lots of it. But that's predominantly a Pakistani Muslim phenomenon.
Well, in the UK, it seems to be.
Hmm.
I haven't looked in the stats particularly on honor killings,
Yeah.
but again, like I don't know. First of all, I'm sure you acknowledge that like misogynistic hate crimes happen from white people as well.
Yeah.
I don't even
Of
know,
course, yeah.
and I don't actually know if there's any data suggesting that minorities in the UK are more likely to kill a woman out of misogyny than a white person is. I don't actually know. Like the last high-profile case we had with that was the Everard case, right, with a cop doing it, a guy who was supposed to keep her safe. So I don't really know you're saying you want to stop mass immigration, but it sounds like you want to target immigration from just Pakistan because of this crime type. It's not like Indians are doing this, like you said.
Yeah,
Doesn't even seem like
100%. Yeah.
doesn't even seem like Arabs are doing this to any great degree. So those Muslims are fine, according to you, in the UK.
Yeah, I just think like, well, yeah, there's probably other differences between cultures. I would just want less immigration as a whole. But yeah, I think particular countries, particular cultures, don't gel well with us. Like for example, like say Afghanistan, 99% of them, according to Pew, believe in Sharia law and should be the law of the land. Pakistan's like 84%. And I think those countries in particular clash with our kind of Western values. And okay, there's 16% of them that are probably fine, but that's 84%, the vast majority.
Okay, one thing at a time. First of all,
Sorry.
what is so? Do you think it's Pakistani culture to go around in a fucking car that's does that stupid thing where it pops all the time with a fucking spoiler, blasting like fucking rap music and inviting girls into your car for alcohol and drugs and shagging them and raping them. Like, is this like, is that really what they do in Pakistan? Like, they go around Islamabad doing that shit?
I don't know. I haven't been to Islamabad, so
No,
I'm not
these
too
people are
sure.
shit Muslims, is what they are. They're not good Muslims. That's not what Muslims do. You don't drink alcohol if you're a Muslim. Generally, a good Muslim doesn't drink alcohol. Yeah,
Okay,
that's
well
a.
then I'll frame it this way. If we know, do you agree that like probably
New
believing
punishment for
in
criminals.
Sharia law
AI versions of Churchill,
is
Aussie,
not, I
and
don't want to say
excuse we have 2-hour
disqualifier,
pod
but
on IP. The criminal
it
plays
doesn't gel well with
stenographer and
Western
must get
culture. So
95% correct at 2.0
Hang on,
speed
I've
or
got a
they
super
get a
chat.
life sentence.
sorry, Akram.
Thank you for the $10. If you believe, if you're asked in a poll about what you believe in Sharia law, and I can find something about British, there's like a paper I read about British Muslims, and when they're asked this question, that obviously, I guess you know, Sharia does not mean the same thing to every Muslim, especially when they're answering polling questions. Does Sharia law mean that they want to elect governments to enforce like marriage laws according to Islam or anything like that? Generally, no. In the UK, when people say they favor Sharia law, it can, at a most benign level, it just means what they want to do in their personal life. But maybe at a more institutional level, it's usually how they want to handle marriages and marriage disputes. Like that's generally what Sharia law means in practice in the UK. It's not like these Islamic Sharia courts in Whitechapel or wherever else are convicting women to death for getting sexually assaulted, right? It's not like they're passing stonings or anything like that, right?
Well, you know, like I say again, I don't have the figures on hand, but I'm sure I can easily find them if you want. But say that Pew study, for example, said 99% of Afghans think Sharia law should be the law of the land, and then something like, again, I'm just pulling these numbers out of my whatever, but it was like 40% think you should be stoned from adulterers, or maybe it was like 60%. So that's like a good proportion of the population believing in these kind of backwards things that we don't obviously tolerate in the West.
And you don't seem to think that, assuming all that's true, which again,
I can try and get it if you want.
it's fine. We'll just assume it's true for sake of argument.
Sure.
Do you agree that do you agree that being in the UK as a migrant seems to soften these opinions, or even just be a sign that the people who are coming here already have these softened opinions? Like if
Yeah,
you're
that
a
could be
Muslim
true.
and you live in Afghanistan and you choose to come to the UK, you've kind of left the perfect place for the most backward Sharia law you could ever ask for, right? Like you've got, it's right there in front of you, and you've skipped past like 10 Muslim countries, past Europe, even past the Muslim countries in Europe, like Albania and shit, to come to the UK. So I feel like if they've already made that decision, you're already selecting for people who don't care that much about being around all this stuff at an institutional level. Second of all, how do Muslims vote in the UK? They vote left. Why don't they
Yeah,
vote
well,
for more right-wing socially conservative parties?
But just on your first point there, like, yeah, I'm sure that is true. I'm sure a lot of them, like, it's not the same as doing a survey within Pakistan than the ones who come over, for sure. But then I seen, again, this is from The Guardian, but it's like 0% of British Muslims think homosexuality is moral. I think that's kind of a problem. And then a good proportion think it should be illegal. So I still think even the ones that are coming here still have these kind of more extreme views compared to the West.
Yeah, and whenever you had, like, say, Irish or especially Italian immigrants to the United States, they were very, very conservative to begin with, like very socially conservative, and they integrated. It seems to be the same case
Yeah.
with Muslims. Like, first of all, you're selecting for people who, again, why are they coming here if they're annoyed by homosexuality? Why the fuck do you move to London, of all places in the world, if you have an issue with being around homosexuality in public? It seems to be like they accept it. Like, enough to live around it,
But
which
they
is
still
more
think it's
than
immoral or should be illegal, as those kind
yeah,
of
they can
surveys
think,
show.
think it's yeah. Apparently, they think it's immoral. And again, whether or not you think something is immoral, according to like a survey question, how long ago in the UK was it when like most people would say that here, when most white people would say that? Like you know that it's
Yeah.
not even like 50 years ago when gay people had to like you had to move into the most posh gentrified fucking gay space in London to even just show yourself in public, right? You had to live fucking in the closet.
I know,
Even
but I think
musicians
that's
had to do this 50 years ago.
yeah, I know, and I think like I think that kind of is a testament to like how far we've come, and I think it's like naive to assume that these countries that are kind of I don't want to say behind us in a way, like it's assumed it's I think it's crazy to kind of assume that they're on the same level as we were just 50 years ago. I think your point kind of helps me in a way. It's like we've come a long
Well,
way
we're
in a
talking
short
about
time.
Muslims who make the decision to come here, mind you.
But yeah, but you're not like, you're discounting then like economic opportunities, you know, a better standard of living. You know, I don't think it's just because they love our culture is the whole reason
Yeah,
they're coming here.
but you realize you're making my point when you say that now, right? Because when you say that they're here for the money, well, what kind of Muslim, what kind of religiously devout person
Mm.
abandons being around their Islamic law for a better wage? That's very profane behavior.
Sure, but yeah, I don't think they're coming here to like assimilate with us. Like I think they're going to keep their views, like so they can come here, benefit from the economic opportunities, and then they want to keep their Muslim views and their ideas, and they want to probably install them in our countries if they could.
I don't know. I've known plenty of Muslims who, you know, they are hungover on Monday because they were shit-faced on the weekend. I've seen Muslims in nightclubs.
Yeah,
I've
of
seen
course,
Muslims
of course.
taking fucking drugs. I did not see that when I was in Palestine, tell you that.
But
And
then
even in
we
even in
had- you
Israel,
could-
even in
Mhm.
Israel, where there are 20% fucking Muslims living there, you don't see them going around the fucking gay clubs in Tel Aviv and shit like that. Not very often, anyway.
But
So
if we're to believe this Guardian survey that I was pointing to, that 0% think homosexuality on average is moral, and like say maybe 40% think it should be illegal. You agree that that's pretty extreme compared to the British population as a whole?
yeah, it would be. Yeah. Again, I'm not sure
Then-
if, again, I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure, like, I've seen surveys from not that long ago of showing that Muslims who live here tend to soften on homosexuality over time.
Yeah, I'm sure they do soften. I'm sure they do soften.
So why
over
do you think
time
there's
being
a
the keyword? But then, like, we have cases in Ireland where, you know, a guy in Sligo was like beheaded and his boyfriend was stabbed like 23 times, and it was because he was homosexual. So, like, I'm sure they do soften over time, but all this damage is being done in the meantime.
so you want to, like, you're saying all this damage is being done in the meantime, which again, we're bringing in like hundreds of thousands of people a year. Yeah, of course, some of them are going to be criminals. We're talking about the Muslims as a demographic, not as the fact that, yeah, even if you get the most vetted, well-behaved, whitest, whatever migrants in the world, yeah, you're still going to have some of them who are criminals. That's never, you're never,
Yeah.
or their kids will become criminals. You're never getting
But
away
it's
from
just-
that.
It's
We're
a
talking about them
certain
as a
type. It's a
demographic.
certain type of crime. You know, it's like beheading someone for being homophobic. Like I don't think that just okay, it could happen, but it hadn't happened before in the whatever X amount of years, and I think it's naive again
Well, we
to
just
say
stab
that that's
them with, or we take fucking hatchets to them. What do you, yeah, like,
yeah. Like I if I just heard, oh, someone was beheaded for being homosexual in Ireland, I would say there's a good probability that it was because it was a Muslim perpetrator.
well, that's great. But if I heard that someone was stabbed numerous times, then I would assume it was the pastiest white Glaswegian, right? Because we were the knife capital of fucking Europe for like years.
Yeah, okay,
you
but
know?
the specific motive of like being a homosexual, and again, these surveys like 0% think it's moral, and some think it should be illegal. So I think these things are connected, and I think it's naive to say that they're not.
Yeah, I'm not saying that, because you're making two different arguments. We're not denying that Muslims are more socially conservative than locals, or are more like extreme on homophobia and everything else, right? We're not denying that. The thing that we're having an
Yeah.
issue with is whether or not you think this warrants excluding an entire group of migrants, like regardless of whether or not they have like they can contribute anything economically or culturally, or what you do about the ones who are here. Because my understanding is a lot of these criminals in the Islamic community, especially the radicalized ones, they're second generation, not first. So what do you do about them? That you're
Yeah,
making two
I've
different
heard-
arguments.
Yeah, or what do you do about them is kind of an interesting question. Like, I obviously wouldn't get rid of anybody who's already in the country if it was up to me. It's just I put a stop to, I would lessen at least the immigration, especially from those countries, 100%.
So
Obviously, like if someone's living here, if someone was born here, you know, you're kind of too late at that stage. You know, it's kind of just, yeah, we have to
So-
deal with it. But in the future, maybe we lessen that.
so you're an anti-Brexit person, right?
100%. No. But well, I'm Irish. I don't know. I see people in your chat. They probably gathered that, so it's a bit different for me. But yeah. So that's kind of where I stand. I would just lessen immigration, to be honest. Like, I just don't think they gel well. Other countries will gel better. You know, the Venezuelans of the world, the whatever, I think gel a lot better with us, the Japanese, the Chinese. But yeah, I think that just this clash between Western culture and some places in Asia, I think is just insurmountable.
Even you did it. You meant to say Muslims there, right? You don't care about Lebanese Christians coming here, I'd imagine.
Yeah, well, maybe. Like again, it just depends. It's a case by case basis. Like, and obviously, there's people in every country that are lovely, and you can't obviously filtering out a whole country is kind of unfair. But yeah, I just think on average, certain countries have worse views that are incomparable to the West.
Don't we do this anyway? I feel like most immigrants to the UK are not Muslim. They're like, I think Indian, Polish. I think, yeah, the top four.
Lithuanian,
Yeah, there's
probably.
India, Poland, Pakistan, Romania. So, and again, this country is 6.5% Muslim. It's not like we're not even close to them being, and again, like everyone else, because they live here, their birth rates come down when they live here too. So, I don't really know what dramatic change you want to see, because it seems like so far net migration is low. It's going to be lower this year than it was under the last couple of years of the Tories. I don't know if you're okay with that, or you think there's a problem. Like, do you think the Labour government should be doing something different?
Well, again, I'm Irish, so I wouldn't know too much about your politics or political parties, but no, I just think, I would continue that trend and lower immigration to, like, in Ireland. I know it's pretty bad, like, where 1 in 5 people is now not born in Ireland, and I think that's a huge number, and I think it's a dangerous number just because of the stuff I laid out. And I think I don't know what it is, what proportion it is, and sorry, you said 6%, did you, or am I just
6.5?
6.5. Yeah, I suppose that's not as bad as like 1 in 5 in Ireland, but that's kind of the trend
we're
the
talking
West
about.
has been going.
It's not 1 in 5 are Muslim, right? We're just talking about born in the
No,
country.
yeah, immigrants in general, but then obviously the proportion of Muslims is.
But I thought we didn't. Yeah, and obviously we don't care that much about immigrants who assimilate, which most of them do.
Yeah, but again, like you said, it does take. I think I was reading in some book they took kind of cultural differences, and they took how long it takes them to assimilate, and it's like, I don't know, like the 3rd generation before they kind of adopt our values. And okay, that'll happen eventually. Like you said, it will happen eventually, but in that time, people are getting beheaded, or people are getting stabbed,
and you know what? We've had a lot worse from you people, from fucking Irish people, okay? Like, when the Irish came to the UK, they were what? They were so fucking drunk and criminal, apparently, that we thought they were a different race. Okay, we still have fucking Old Firm, Celtic and Rangers, fucking Hibs and Hearts. We still have, like, there was so much violence when it came to Irish people coming to the UK, and now no one gives it a second thought, right? We have the leftovers. We have the leftovers of those issues. But there was a time when people said that these people are too fucking different. They're a different fucking species that they can't even be let in here. And again, just because people were insanely racist, much more so back then than they are now, that doesn't mean it was based on nothing. Irish people who came to the UK, they were different. Like, they didn't come out of absolutely nowhere. Yeah. Jews who came to the UK were different. But again, like, we got past it. I don't know why we can't get past it with fucking Muslims. And we already are doing much better than most of these countries in Europe. Like, fucking hell. We managed to go the last 25 years being like the only country in Europe, touch wood, without having some far right psycho fucking party getting 50% of the vote. But that's about to change. I don't know. I think Britain's done a pretty good job. It's a shame that we're about to fucking backslide and have our country destroyed by a bunch of fucking white, wealthy, fucking spiv cunts in reform next election. But
Yeah, well, like one thing I would say about that is, like, kind of like when you're talking about the Irish, say, for example. Should I say personally? Like, I think there's no, like, ideological element there. There's no religious element. Like, religious morals are very hard to change.
What the fuck is the Old Firm about? It's Catholic and Protestant. Yes, it was about religion when people were more religious.
Yeah, but us drinking beer and causing crime isn't because Jesus told us to. That kind of thing. Like, whereas opposed, like, being gay is like,
and Muslims don't get fucking uppity with terrorism because of not necessarily because of religious reasons. You read the way that people talk about why I joined ISIS or even Bin Laden. It's most of these arguments they give are secular. They're all like, because of the West imperialism. And the people, like that guy who beheaded that fucking drummer, he did it because he said it was because of the Iraq war and shit. Like, yeah, even then, there is radicalization, but I would say probably like the most radicalization you see from Muslims in the UK is because of politics and foreign policy, not because of religion.
Yeah, but okay, for example, again, to tie back to the homosexuality example, you agree that that's kind of religious in nature.
Yeah, it is. Again,
so it'd be pretty hard to change as, like, opposed to, like, some other opinion that just like the vast majority of people have, or we drink a lot of beer. It's like that's easier to change because there's no religious basis for it.
Out of interest, is there any data that shows that Muslims are more likely to commit homophobic hate crimes in the UK?
It's a good question. I don't know, but I presume if they're, like we both agreed, if they're more homophobic on average, I'd say that that's just naturally going to be the case.
Who's more likely to commit xenophobic hate crimes?
Ooh, me. I don't know. But I probably do have to jump just because it's 5 o'clock. But thank you so much for having me on. I hope I wasn't too annoying and my quality was better.
Yeah, good mic. Okay.
Enough said.
Take care, buddy. Okay.
Here, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.